Good morning. My name is Lara. I'm going to show you some results of a research concerning museum store collections and their accessibility. According to a previous study conducted by ICROM and UNESCO, most collections are kept in storage. Accordingly, they are not accessible to the public. The purpose of this study is to find out if museums are trying to find solutions to make their collections accessible to the public, and if so, how much this solution can fulfill this need. In order to achieve this purpose, a survey was disseminated amongst the offices of DICOM located worldwide. Additionally, many museums, more than 2,500, were directly involved. This is the picture of participants located worldwide, with a massive participation from Europe. According to the research findings, only a few museums are able to put on display a significant part of their collection. Therefore, a great part collection is hidden. Why is there so much in storage? Due to the past habit of collecting just for the availability of premises, collections have ended up being housed in overcrowded storages, typically unsafe for collections and people. Given this scenario, what are museums doing to make their collections accessible? Data shows some strategies adopted by museums to overcome this burning issue. Here is the picture of a visible storage, meaning a depot where exhibitions are run according to a different display format with a high density. Amongst the strategy, the digitization might represent a game changer to improve the accessibility of collections, including those that are stored. The digitization boasts some strong points in terms of accessibility. Potentially, all collections can be accessible, including those that are stored due to their preservation conditions. According to the research findings, most of museums conducted a collection assessment, even if some of them did it in the previous 5 years. The findings of the collection assessment highlight how many museums do not put on display items just because deemed just for scholarly interest, or because they are just repetitive items or light-sensitive items. Additionally, museums reported the fact that they have many fragile and damaged items. And it is meaningful the fact that the worst data comes from the European Museum. So, given the different degrees of fragility of items, it means that a great part of collection can be enjoyed in the main rooms of museums, through in the galleries, or through visible storage, or they cannot be enjoyed through loan or exchange. Therefore, the digital content is the only source that allows people to enjoy collections, and so it is a really powerful mean in this contest. The condition of collections get worse in case of poor documentation. The lack of a collection policy for several museums can represent a huge threat because it means that museums are likely to manage items in a thoughtlessness manner. And additionally, it was found that there are still many museums without a risk management and a conservation plan. It means that many museums are not prepared to face some risk and to ensure the correct preservation of items. Furthermore, a great part of respondents doesn't boast any accessibility plan. In this framework, digitization represents a way to strike a crucial balance, since museums are supposed to preserve items for today and future generations. Nevertheless, collections are held by museums in trust of people. Moving on the numbers of the study, it was found that a plethora of museums are adopting the digitization procedure, so to overcome the burning issue related to make collections accessible to anyone. And it was found that almost all of them are going to improve the digital content in the future. And despite the larger levels of the procedure in European museums, it was found that digitization is far-reaching. And it is really important because it means that the digital content can be really enjoyed worldwide. According to the size of collections, meaning the number of items of a collection of a museum, it was found that museums with smaller collections are adopting this strategy more than their big brothers, so to find a better place in the big market. And the research findings shed lights on the fact that the digitization is unlocking the doors of museums and literally making available the collections, including the stored ones. Namely, almost half of stored collections are now available. Another important thing is that the smaller the collection are, the more they are put on display. So not only are there more museums with smaller collections that are adopting this strategy, but they are also making available to the public more stored items. So apparently, museums with smaller collections are more richer than bigger. The average digital content that is accessible to the public is around 55%, most of which is related to stored items. According to the type of collection, it was found that art and science museums are able to make available more stored items. And regardless of the type of collection, it can be said that the digitization overcome many constraints related to the physical visit, and it creates a sort of democratization of access because anyone can enjoy the digital content, no matter if researcher or not, age, gender, education, or economic and social status. In order to provide access, museums are experimenting different modalities of access. The foremost modality to access is provided by the museum is represented by social media, followed by institutional websites. Basically, a computer and a Wi-Fi is all required to have the access. Another parameter analyzed with this research was the visits, and it was found that the online visits double the physical visit. And it may be that people can enjoy, can carry out an online visit just before or after a physical visit, just to get more information, or just because they live in the opposite part of the world, or due to physical challenges, or just because simply they want to enjoy the visit, and at the same time the comfortable sofa at home. So the online visits allow people to overcome some constraints related to the physical, to the fact that some items are not visible in the main rooms of museums due to the lack of space, or because they are not, they are under cleaning and preservation treatment, or because they are not physically present in the museum walls because they are on loan. So, on the whole, digitization overcomes many constraints, such as the lack of space and geographical problems, and it is so powerful that it overcomes some disadvantage, even during a pandemic outbreak. And at the same time, it ensures preservation to items because it mitigates some risks related to handling items, safe and security issue. And what is more, it reaches out a new audience. In conclusion, museums are trying to find solutions to make their collections available to the general public. And regarding how much these solutions are fruitful, this is the final picture that show the strategies adopted by museums to make their collection accessible to anyone. And amongst them, the digitization is the solution whereby the most stored items are made available. And it is a meaningful tool because it creates a sort of bridge between museums and people. And in conclusion, we all can't miss these opportunities. So thanks.
So, thank you, Lara, so much for your presentation. And I must admit that this kind of graphs of the tip of the iceberg and this kind of cultural heritage being hidden underwater, this is always a surprising moment for especially these people who do not work in the museums or libraries. So, at the moment, we do not have any questions in workshop, but does anybody from the audience have a question? Aha, I see here is a lady who has risen her hand. Can you please raise your hand again? So, yes, can you please come from here?
Okay. So, I can see here. Okay.
This is a very good room, actually, because you can see also the people when you are talking. Sometimes you can't see anything.
Hello. I would like to ask him more about the methodology to take all these results. And if you could tell a little more, I really like to know more about.
I think that obviously this is just a part of a bigger research. And I suppose that in 1 month, a paper with a deeper analysis will be published. So let's hope. I can just tell you that really it is an opportunity to people to get to enjoy the stored collection because honestly, people, the general public, don't realize that there are so many precious items because people think that what is stored is not so. It is in store just because not high quality, At the same time, there are those that think that is a sort of shame, because, I mean, obviously museums are supposed to exhibit all, but we all know that it is not possible to put on display anything. So it is a great challenge for professionals to overcome all this kind of things. Obviously, I'm stand up for digitization as a strategy, because even if someone can suggest that it is not such a great solution to make a collection accessible to the public, but these strategies showed its strength during the pandemic. And I mean, it is a way to really enjoy anyone and any items at the same times. And even if the level of digitization is currently not so high, I think that it is, I mean, basically the idea is, okay, less is better than nothing, okay? So I think, honestly, it's another opportunity to people to enjoy collection. I mean, obviously, the physical, the contact with Van Gogh, okay, is really blows me away, okay. But at the same time, if I don't live in Amsterdam, for instance, I couldn't have the opportunity, so. But I mean, for more details, I will recommend you to consult my publication, because it's a larger research of 5 years. So.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for this question, and then also thank you for this answer. I was also wondering for a moment, like, if anybody is interested in these results and wants to read more, can you maybe leave some kind of reference or link?
No.
We can't sit here at the moment?
There was in the final slide, there is my contact. That is Lara Corona at uweek.s. But I suppose there are in the slides in the last one. Okay.
Very good, very good.
Okay.
So if anybody is interested in seeing more about these details from this research, then that's a good possibility to read from there. So does anybody else have a question? I can see here is a small question as well. We have now a little time left for the questions as well. Please be careful with those stairs.
My apologies for taking the microphone again. There is a specific kind of resources where the digitization is very important, and that is items destroyed in war. And I'm thinking of Syria, Afghanistan, and currently Ukraine. And I wonder whose responsibility is it to try to rescue, I mean, at least the documentation and make it accessible through digitization. It's somehow maybe unfair to expect that the people, or the institutions who have suffered of the war should be responsible for making this available. I can take as an example the National Museum of Afghanistan, who has had their collections destroyed in many recurring instances. And the personnel are, until recently and even maybe now, working without salary. So we can't really expect them to make this available. And someone should pay attention to this, and I don't know who it is, but I hope someone will. Thank you.
Well, I suppose that it is a broad topic, and unfortunately, I think that it is really not simple. And I suppose that we all have to prevent such situations. I mean, You mentioned the war now, but obviously it is important to invest to preserve items in advance of a war. So I think that museums have the responsibility as cultural entities to face this problem really in advance. And obviously, I suppose that a great support is required from government. Even if, obviously, I think that the topic is really broader, because I think that an additional support is required from people. So honestly, I think that education from little school is important too. I really think that it is winning hand, and only if we join together our efforts. So I'm so sorry, because we have to face this problem now because the war, but honestly, I think that we don't have, you mentioned something, there was a remarkable slide in your presentation with a message, we have to act before when we are going through good conditions, something like that. So it's good for digitization too. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Indeed. Thank you so much for this comment.
Thank you.
And thank you again for this presentation,
okay.
and also for these answers you have given us. So let's give another applause to Lara.
Thank you.